more is paying attention to breath and noticing as it moves in and out of the nose or the mouth. And that, you know, when we take an in-breath through the nose or mouth, it's usually a little bit cooler than when we take an out-breath or exhale. You could notice that. And then you could see where else it is that your breath moves. Maybe the throat, the chest, the belly. And then moving from the breath and the sense of smell. We'll take a few moments and just feeling a sense of touch. And to do that, you can notice what it feels like to sit where you're sitting. You know, I have one foot on the floor. And there's a different feel underneath my hands. So you can notice where your hands are, your back is, if there's a support behind your back. And then when you're ready, maybe just sitting up a little bit more, moving around a little bit more, because those practices tend to get us a little bit stiller, although you didn't have to do that. You know, you can certainly connect with your senses and your breath and be in movement. So I don't know, I know you have a way that you'd like to move through this, but I'm just curious as if anyone wants to share their experience of that, just taking a few mindful moments.
Yeah, I definitely like relaxed a little. Like I was watching my heartbeat like calm down. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And I think that was maybe 4 minutes or 5 minutes there. And really any segment of that is a doorway into the present moment. And it doesn't have to be long. It can be 30 seconds. You know, it can be whatever you need it to be. So yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that was
great.
Okay,
it's like
thank you.
Quick to like, you know, it's like a quick fix to calm down.
Yeah, I feel like more in the moment right now, rather than like I'm not like, I felt like I was not worrying about what's going to happen after, like what happened before. I just felt like very in the moment, which is very good.
I think it's like a good little morning, something like in your morning routine, incorporating that before you start your day. Yeah, and that's a good idea.
Yeah, Sammy, I love how you're thinking about where you could put that, you know, and where it might be helpful for you. And that's wonderful. And what I'm hoping to present here is like, be curious about it and be willing to sort of see where it fits most in for you. And it can be a real informal thing. It could be like, you know what, when I wake up and I do this little check-in and this 5 senses thing, I notice my day goes in a way that I prefer. Mm-hmm. And mindfulness, also, I just want to mention, if I can, is not really, the purpose of it is not meant to support productivity. Although if you're reducing your internal stress response, it is likely an outcome of that will be, you'll be able to be more present, more connected to what you're doing. And a byproduct of that will be perhaps more productivity. The intentions, as I understand it, of mindfulness are the practice itself. You know, just really developing a capacity to being with your experience. The mindfulness practices tend to have a connection with things like compassion and kindness and gratitude. And when we can connect with those things, that tends to have distressing, like de-stressing, bringing the stress down effect. So I don't know why I mentioned that there, but I hope, you know, if you need to edit it out, you can edit that out.
Yeah, that was good.
That was important to like show an example too.
Yeah, and like I was watching this one video one time, and it was talking about this guy who was teaching a class, and he was talking like what like to the students about what does it mean to have a good day. And like these students had all these like crazy things like, you know, I know I'm gonna have a good day if this happens or if this happens, but those things obviously don't happen on a daily basis, right?
Right.
So he said like something like what you showed us just now, that if you just accomplish something even as small as just making your bed in the morning, it's like you were able to get up, you were able to accomplish something, and that itself is already a good day. Like, you know that this is gonna, you know, be the good day for future.
Mm-hmm.
So I really
so there's some, yeah, and there's something that you're sharing with us. I appreciate that you know, that means something to you. That's and you got that out of just having a little practice about being with yourself and your experience.
Yeah.
Cool.
So like, just sort of like to segue off of that, just
Yeah.
like another question that I had was like, what are some like resources that you think people can use to cope with mental health issues, especially like anxiety during this time right now?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I've been noticing, and maybe you all can speak to it too, is there are so many groups that have gone to online. They've pivoted to online programming. And so the thing that I'm so excited about is to see, it warms my heart that there's more accessibility. And then within those platforms, there's more choice. Like I can show up to a group, whatever it is, like maybe we all love Harry Potter books or whatever. and so I'm going to go to this book club that likes Harry Potter books. And you know what, today I'm in my pajamas and it's all I can do to show up. So I'm going to turn my camera off. And what I'm seeing in there's a lot of choice, a lot of accessibility happening. So I just want to encourage you to like where your interest points are, like just start Googling groups and see what's out there. And there's just so much happening with having a different kind of connection with folks, where there's online accessibility, where there's choice. If it's like everything you can do just to show up and that sort of thing. So that's one idea, because, you know, another thing I didn't mention earlier is that we are social creatures. You know, we have wiring in our brain that for survival, it necessitates that we engage with others, be socially engaged to survive. And when we come to this earth, we have to be socially engaged and engage with our primary caregivers so we can survive, right? So that's powerful wiring. And I guess that's why I started saying, you know, just follow your interest points and find some online groups, because any kind of connection, although we don't get to be in proximity with each other or as close proximity, and there's some health things like face masks we have to entertain in those situations, having any kind of online connectivity is probably going to be very helpful, although it may bring up some feelings of loss about what we're having to deal with now. Connectivity is important. Also, YouTube has so much free stuff. I mean, like I have experimented with typing in anything, and I've typed in, you know, mindfulness for sleep, you know, to help sleep. You could type in anything you wanted, like goat yoga for anxiety. I don't know. I haven't tried that one, but I don't know if you've heard that that's like a thing out there in the yoga world today. But what I'm trying to illustrate here is that if you did a search on YouTube for something that you needed, you could probably get it. I've been as specific as a 5-minute meditation for grounding, and I've gotten a lot of options. So I really want to encourage, you know, an interaction around experimenting with what's free on YouTube. There's also, and you all might be able to speak to this too, there's also wonderful apps. My favorite meditation app is Insight. I decided to splurge and get a membership, but a lot of these have free, shorter offerings. So those are the things that just sort of rolls up the top of my head. In addition to, you know, what are you already doing that helps you connect with a calm state? That could be a question you ask yourself. Maybe it's a walk. You know, it doesn't have to be yoga, mindfulness, or, you know, that sort of realm. You know, what is it? Another thing that, you know, along those lines is I love reading psychology books. Instantly calms my brain. I love reading the neuroscience of the stress response. It has such a calming effect for me. So, you know, that's something a little bit off, you know, that pertains to my therapy career that isn't so yoga and mindfulness. But yeah, just paying attention to, even if it's just like this little 1% shift where the stress and anxiety dials down a little bit, can you be fascinated with that? Can you get curious about that? What was that allowed me to dial down a little bit? I'm talking a lot today.
No, but
So I'm noticing that. And
that was great, because there's like, even with YouTube, I myself like didn't even realize, like, there's certain times where I do use it, but I didn't even realize like how extensive it is. So like that actually was pretty helpful. Yeah,
there's a lot of content, and I swear to God, if you do like download streaming too, gosh, I think like Hulu even has like yoga there, or they might have workout routines, you know, stuff that maybe you can do in your room, you know, with your own privacy. Because there's an approach, there's a psychological approach to stress reduction. Here's the frame. It's called top down or bottom up. And that understanding is, you know, there's some things that really light up our brains and our interest points and our thinking, and that has a regulatory effect and a calming effect for our body. So for me, often a lot of intellectual pursuits will have a calming response for me. Bottom up approaches are like, you know, there's something in you that identifies you need to calm down. Okay, I'm going to go walk. I'm going to go kick the soccer ball. You know what? I'm just going to do like 15 push-ups. I'm going to push my hands against the wall. I'm going to interact with my body from the bottom, and that's going to have a calming effect on my thoughts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just another way that you can think about what works for me in my life.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of like online therapy resources. Have you had experience with that or anything? Like,
well, that's another thing that's really exploding.
Yeah.
And that's, it hasn't necessarily been as important as it is now. And I'm so glad to see that our own center, Discovery Counseling Center, is offering telehealth. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to be a part of a lot of practices, group practices, private practices, community mental health like us. It's going to be a component of what's offered in the future, which again is really encouraging because accessibility, right? So maybe someone can't get a ride to the center, but we can do a HIPAA compliant, you know, video program, which just means that, you know, there's some encryption on that program to protect your confidentiality, and we can have a session.
Right.
So, you know, there are companies now that are specializing in telehealth. That's all they do. And then there's places like Discovery Counseling Center that are pivoting into that. I am doing only telehealth. We are not seeing clients at our center right now. So I'm encouraged by that from the accessibility standpoint. And it's going to be a way that I move forward as a therapist, at least partially, once, you know, it becomes more safe to be at our center for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Did that answer your
I just
question?
wanted
Okay.
learn more about it. So that was helpful.
Good. Yeah, there's a lot of options out there. So, and then also, you know, if you're going to access therapy through your parents' insurance, you know, for you teens to know, which is a place that, you know, even I've heard Kaiser's doing telehealth. You know, there might be avenues through that happening. So.
Yeah. So we've pretty much like said all our questions, but is there any like final thoughts or anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, there's a couple, and I wish I had said this at the start, but I'm glad I remembered now. I wanted to share with you all an appreciation that there's something in all of your life experience that, you know, you've all come together around fighting for hope and the importance of mental health. And I just think how you've come together, how you've pivoted online, I am so inspired. This is part of why I love working with teens. Your adaptability, your fervor, your energy around this project has been a delight to support. And I really appreciate all of you.
Thank you so much.
So sweet. We appreciate
Yeah.
it.
And that, yeah, well, you know, high five to all of you. And just to everyone listening, you know, I just want to make this point. It's like every one of us on the Zoom call, we have all made it this far. Maybe there's been bumps in the road, but we've all made it this far. We've all adapted, even if we didn't want to.
Right.
And, you know, if we reflect on that, we can lean into what we've done so far to get through whatever else we need to get through. And, you know, I just think it's important to have those moments where you acknowledge, you know, that we've all made it this far.